Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is DoubleBit's Workshop. So in today's video, I'm excited. I ended up actually pulling the trigger and purchasing a Temu product known as the Power Tool Organizer, or a very long and lengthy explanation. Let's pull that up real quick. All right, so from the official Temu website, this is the wall-mounted power tool rack, garage tool rack, and 7 drill racks, heavy metal tool rack, strong load-bearing capacity, suitable for induction and display of power tools, easy to use, men's gift, New Year, Valentine's Day gift, suitable for boyfriend's gift. Anyway, this product I purchased, it goes for around $30 to $36. There was a sale, if you will. I had it in my shopping cart and it's like, hey, so you want this? And I got it for $21, if I remember right. $21.50 or $21.30, something like that. So not a super expensive item. I was actually quite surprised. It said US distributor, and I ended up getting the product in 3 days. So that was awesome. I've actually had this sitting off to the side because I wanted to get the shop cleaned back up and kind of to par. The whole place in here was covered in sawdust, wood everywhere, scraps and everything from all the way back as far as Halloween. So happily, I got the shop back into a working order. And it was actually pretty fun too. I'm able to sport some of the gifts that I got from Christmas that I actually haven't been able to do a video in a minute. So I got a nice new apron. My parents actually had this embroidered with my logo on it, which is pretty awesome. It was a fun gift and a nice surprise, something I did not expect by any means, but super happy and grateful that I have. Anyway, all that to say, let's get to putting this together. The box is actually pretty nice and compact. So the box that they shipped is 16 inches by 8.5 inches. Overall height is just over 6 inches. So not a bad little tiny box. I did cut it open since it is a from China product. I did not know if there was any damage. There was a little bit of scuffing on the box, so I have cut it open and just glanced on the inside. Didn't see any damage, but let's get to tearing into this good boy, or bad boy, and also seeing how hard it is to assemble. So far, all I've been able to see is the paperwork included. So it's 2 sheets of paper. Power Tool Organizer has a picture of the item in its completed form. This is the 3-level with the actual power tool hanging on the bottom. And also I have tool storage on the side on 2 tiers for screwdrivers, pliers, what have you on both sides. So pretty excited. This little guy should help in organizing this whole area quite a bit. Opening up the instructions here, there is just 2 sides, quantity of items, and then kind of giving you a brief overview of how to assemble it. So should be pretty straightforward. I actually kind of enjoy these instructions because it's a simple enough product that they're not going to give you a whole list of instructions in half kind of translated linguistics issues. So that's super nice. But let's get to opening the box the rest of the way. All right, so besides the piece of paper that came off the top of it, this is what we are greeted with. Looks like all the hardware, including a little wrench and an Allen key, are included, which is super nice. Little hooks and stuff. We have drywall anchors and screws for the wall. Those look to be just standard Phillips end, and then all the bolts for the assembly of the shelves. Looks like we have some hooks for the sides for those. Bracket goes on the side. All right. Each item is kind of just tucked into a little cellophane wrap, but the actual pieces of material are resting on each other. That being said, I'm not seeing any damage to the actual material, scuff marks, the works, if you will. So that is good. Looks like each bag has 2 items placed inside of them. Potential little scuff right there, nothing too major. This, of course, will gain scuffs from just use, so I'm not super heartbroken if there are scrapes. But if it's super drastic, that is a little annoying for sure. Not that this is the most expensive item. You couldn't really buy this in town at a local box store for under at least 50 to 80 bucks even for something this size. Not that it currently looks super huge. So we got 4 pegs, little bracket. I think this goes on the side. 4 wire meshes, and then this one is the top. So these are for screwdrivers, which is pretty cool. Kind of give you an idea of that. So these 2 will make up the top. The whole item goes together like so. And then the other 2 additional ones, this will be the bottom rack from the look of it. And for ease of production, it looks like they just kind of manufactured the same piece 2 times over. There's no left or right to them. Those will go on the bottom. And these should be the sides, and I believe this is the middle. We'll take a quick gander here in just a second. Yep, these are the back side here. So these are the holes for mounting it. The whole system just rests on, I thought 4, but it looks like 6 screws that you just mount to the wall, and the whole thing just sits on there. So if it is something that you put together and put in one spot of the garage, house, closet, what have you, and you don't end up liking where it's at, it's not going to be a super huge chore to get it moved around. All right. A little cold in the shop today. We're still midwinter, so I had the heater running for a second, but it's already getting a little cold again, sadly. Alright, looks like we got 4 hooks, 2 tools. Here's the drywall anchors and mounting kit. Looks like they gave you exactly 6 screws, which is super nice. I was already planning on supplying screws for this. Not bolts, but just screws at least. But the kit is kind of all in one. So it does look like, going off of these super detailed instructions here, that one piece that I anticipated being the middle is the middle, and those are the 2 sides, of course front to back. And then judging on these pieces here, it looks like there isn't necessarily a front or back for these components. These ones will be in the back unless you have more of a need for screwdrivers in the front. Kind of seems a little counterintuitive, so I'm going to be putting everything on the front side for the drill bits and what have you on that. So I will be building this to the back, which is suggested, but it doesn't look like, if I was to choose to change it up, have one front, one back, what have you, the holes are mounted in the center of each one of those punches, so no matter which way I orient it, those are going to be in the same placement, so there doesn't seem to be any visible distinctions between front and back except for that little piece right there. As for the bolts, it looks like they're all uniform, which is super nice. All the nuts are uniform, so you're not having to worry about, oh, I mixed up this one versus that one, that's why it was cross-threading. There are no washers, it is just nuts and bolts, which should be fine for its basic setup, which is super nice. It looks like all screws face downward. And since they supplied supplied tools, we'll try using their tools and just see kind of how that goes. So I have disconcerting news a bit. The kit is missing 2 components. So in the setup here, accessory 1 is missing, and I have this angled piece for accessory 2, but the accessory 2 other part is missing. What are these, you may ask? This holds the screwdrivers, and this would hold paintbrushes. So I'm missing those 2 components. Luckily, I have a 3D printer, and also I do woodworking for fun. So I just ended up mounting a board in the same fashion of what would have been a piece of sheet steel or plastic. So kind of sucks, but it's not an absolute, like, you know, I can't live without it type deal. I'll modify it. It's going to work, and I kind of like it. It ends up adding a little bit of my own flair. It is annoying, though, that for the purchase price of $21.50, and this one varies on model, it'll sometimes show up as $12 when you click it. It's just the 2 shelf, and it's also like 19-ish inches, versus this one is the, well, it says 32-inch model, but it's 31.5 for the actual core. But when you stretch out for the brackets on the sides here, you're looking at 32.5 inches. Before I add these little fun hooks. Don't know how well this will turn up on the actual camera itself, but these little stylish hooks pop in just right here. So this component, plus the hooks, I'm glad that I had. So I wouldn't have to purchase and manufacture basically the same thing for it. But it is nice to see how they designed it to where this just sits on top of the actual shelf itself, and the bolts just go through the top. So I just mimicked the same thing, literally turned over, saw a piece of material, cut it, split it down the middle as you saw in the time lapse, drilled some holes with my drill press. I literally just had it going in time lapse mode. I was a little frustrated for a second, so I just got it done. But you can kind of see the workflow and process of having a more clean shop to work in. I was able to just grab and use the tools. Surprise, surprise, that's the point of this. So that, sadly, was a necessary fix to make the kit complete. Alrighty, so with a little bit of deviation or modification, you could say, it is complete. It is currently up to my standard, knowing and kind of viewing some modifications down the road if I desire or feel a need to. I feel that it is easy enough to do as well. So here's the unit in all of its glory. Not quite 100% on arrangement, but I think that this is a good bargain for what you're getting it for. The main downfalls, of course, is there is a few things you can always gripe about. There's a little bit of splatter on 2 of the welds, and all the little things you can kind of nitpick all of it. But if we're being fully honest with ourselves, this is just over $20. So for the money, for the value, and that I got it in 3 days, which is pretty awesome, versus what you would spend on a unit like this, 50, 80 bucks would be my guess for a lot of the other kits I was looking at, even on Amazon. You might be able to get one for like 35 bucks, but give or take on those brands, what you're getting. This actually has a very strong coating on it, and it is actually some pretty decent steel. It's not the pot steel or just kind of real thin, chintzy stuff. It has nice bends in the right positions to actually give more structure and strength. So it's not just all flat tin or aluminum or anything like that. This is actual metal. From what I can see, magnets and stuff as I was moving it around were getting sucked right to it. So I know that it is metallic and metal in nature. So it's not made out of non-ferrous materials. And all of this at roughly around 36-ish inches, if you count to the end of these pegs here, I think it was like 31.5 inches from end to end without adding on the little bits on either side. I did have to make the 2 brackets I was missing, so I have a position for all of my pliers and or screwdrivers of varying sizes now. Pretty simple, easy fix. All the bolts are a little bit longer, so you had extra teeth to put in some thin material of some kind. I had wood really readily available and just wanted to get the project done, so that is why I chose to go that route with it. And it ended up turning out nice. Has a little bit of my flair, if you will, or eclectic style on it, which is all good. And all of it coming in this tiny little box, which sadly was missing those 2 pieces, but it wasn't damaged really. So I'm guessing it was just something didn't get added into the box. Paperwork, overly simplistic. I am really happy that it came with some decent drywall anchors. Not that I needed it in my shop, but it is a nice value, if you will, for having that and not having to go out and purchase them. I was able to assemble the whole thing off of these 2 little kits. So a little tiny wrench that fit the nuts perfectly, and then a Allen key for the bolts. And both of those, which I have numerous amounts from different kits and such, and which I bet we all do. If you're watching the channel, you probably bought a few products as well and have at least 3 or 5 of those kicking around. But everything fits on here good. I've got tape measures hooked on the top. I've got my little knives and stuff currently were the first thing I thought to hang up on it. Pair of safety glasses, I'll probably put more in the bottom there. I can get to all of my readily used tools right off the bat. The drills might kind of move around. I have 2 additional slots that I don't have anything in, which is fine for the moment. It gives me room for expansion. But I have all my drills, impacts, little flashlight out of the DeWalt kit. I'm loaning out my circular saw to a friend, but that will probably rest up here, so configuration will change a little bit. I purchased this model knowing that I could set my circular saw on top of it, and that the, I think it's 7 1/4 should fit on here quite nicely. As far as total dimension for the item, I kind of gave you a little bit of a running along the way. We're looking at 8 inches for depth. Main unit is 16 inches to the bottom before you add your drills onto it. And with the apparatuses on the side for the actual, in my case, what I made custom, but going off of about the same dimension from what I could find. Overall, you're looking at 38 inches from the end of the peg to the end of this bracket here for screwdrivers or your pliers and whatnot. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. I didn't see any videos on this product, and they've been popping up left and right, of course. But all that to say, I think it is a good product for the bargain price of just over 20 bucks. We'll call it 25 if it's not on sale, or 35 I think was its top deal. But that was the, oh hey, let's get them interested, is what I feel like. And then when I didn't immediately buy it, and then it re-prompted me with a lower price, kind of get me enticed, is where I think they ended up getting me on it. But I think this will do me good. It'll help my progress in the shop to just be a little bit more efficient, get projects done a little bit faster, have tools more readily at hand. If I'm standing in the shop, the tools are right about at waist height, so I grab what I need, work with it on my tool bench or worktop. I can use my chop saw area and keep that as clean and free of anything overhanging from the wall, so I have a little bit more real estate behind the chop saw, and I can just keep all my surfaces a little bit more tidy. And I have this real estate to work with, moving over all of my quick grips and everything that I have for kind of locking down or clamping down anything, clamps and such as well. So I'm excited. I think this will give me a good push to kind of refit for the season all of my workspace and just make it a little bit more optimized, kind of have my space a little bit more taken care of. I have some random little stacks of wood to take care of down on the floor, and then this will be the widest and most open the shop has been since I moved in, pretty much, and had fun with it ever since. So thank you all so very much, and have yourself a wonderful evening. If you enjoyed the video, make sure and hit that like button. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe to the channel if you want to have future updates and have me in the backlog of whenever you're bored and just looking around on the YouTubes. If you want to have notifications each and every time I upload a video, please make sure and hit that notification bell so that you will get those each time one of these videos are getting uploaded. Thank you all so very much, and have yourself a wonderful evening.